Hey guys, Phoenix here back with another trading strategy, and today we're gonna look and try to understand this strategy which is based on bitmex funding rate. What is funding rate? So you can Google on it and you can find a particular formula on how the funding rate is being calculated. So if you are very much interested in how they are calculated, you can find it on Google. Similarly, if you look at the bitmex platform, at the very left hand side of your corner you can find the funding rate. So this is a actual predicted rate. So this rate actually depends on the order book, and it gives you a lot of information on whether most of the traders are going long or short. So let's just make it in a more simple way. If this is positive, the value here is positive, so the longs have to pay the shorts, and if this value is negative, the short has to pay long. So basically, if it's positive, more people are borrowing money to enter long positions, and if it's negative, it shows that shorters are borrowing money to short or to sell much more BTC at this instance. So right now we can say it's positive, but it's not. I think so. People are in fear to enter, so there is no such extreme positive uh, value. So let's just look at this funding rate. So this is the indicator where you can find the bitmex funding rate. So I will put the link in the description. You can actually add on your trading view and try to figure out this strategy. So this indicator is just bitmex funding rate, and yeah, it's available in public library, so it's free. All right, so let's just look at the strategy. So the thing is like, uh, the market works when most of the traders are long, the market goes downwards, and when the most of the trader are short, the markets go upward. So basically, this funding rate helps to determine whether most of the traders are in long or short position. So this indicator works very much, or you can say a strategy works more significant on 1 hour time frame. So I would actually recommend you guys that it's more better to use this strategy on 1 hour time frame. All right, so this strategy mainly basically it contains just two part. One is finding the bitmex funding rate and marking the points uh, right on the chart. So as we know that counter trading, most of the way counter trade to drag the traders and steal their money. The same principle goes here. So see here on the right hand side of the scale you can find the funding rate. So here it's point 0.1 and point 0.2. So point 0.1 is medium, you can say a medium scale of indication, that is a positive, but it positive funding rate shows that most of the traders are on long position, and negative funding rate shows most of the shorters, most of the buyers are in short position or traders in the short position. So we will use this as a counter indicator. So let's just mark two extreme points, that is 0 point funding rate at 0.2 and funding rate at 0 point minus 0.02. So let's just mark these 2 points. You can just do it approximate for your reference. All right, so uh, first thing first thing to look for the strategy is the trend of the BTC. So just put exponential moving average with average length of 200, or you can say 200 moving exponential average. It helps to determine the trend. So when BTC is in uptrend, what is our goal? Our goal is to enter most of this you can say a bottom of this rally. So our main aim is to enter at the best possible buy price so that we can get much more returns from this rally. So not looking on the chart and just looking at the funding rates, will mark some points, and correspondingly we'll see what's the reaction right on the chart. So this is one of the extreme point where we have most of the seller, sorry, trader on the short position. So we'll mark this point. We will also mark this point. Okay, this point is like mediocre, or you can say medium term, short sell. I mean, see, sorry. So at this point, the traders are most in short position than long position. So also we'll mark this point. So basically, why you are marking this point? So these points are where I find that uh, Bitcoin will actually rally. Though the most of the traders are in short position, the whales will try to wreck them by pumping BTC. So let's just check out is it true or not. So this point is this point, so we are marking that point right here. We'll look this point also, and yeah, this one. All right, so it's you can see here when the funding rate was actually very low, very low. Sorry for this, because I didn't mention you have to configure your bitmex funding rate only to predictive funding rates and not all this, because this don't help you as such in the strategy. So we are very much focusing on predictive funding rates and not on next funding rate of funding bars, and this zero lines is only for the reference. All right, so you can see here the funding rate was extremely negative, so most of the traders are in short. So when the funding rates are in negative, that shows shorts are gonna pay long. And as soon as this begin to recover, we can see the price was significantly moving sidewards, and finally it continued to move up. So it's finally it move about 200 moving average. So this was one of the trade which I also mentioned on my group, because when I was looking at the funding rate, it was so significantly negative, and and at last it was moving on the sideways. So you can use this as a counter indicator, like most of the people are in short position, you have to enter the long. Let's look here. So after the significant drop, the funding rate was like 0.1774. So that shows that again the traders are very much shorting this asset, and you can see a significant pump. And if you look at this pump, that's almost 4%. If you leverage 10 times, it's 40%. So let's just look another example right here. I think so this level was very much anticipated by most of the traders, as even I was thinking, as this is a sort of rising wedge, and rising wedge pattern always breaks downwards. So I just combined and look at the indicator, and you can see the funding rate was again so highly negative. So most of the traders are in short position, and it pump, and, and it continued to pump right here. So you can see at this three instances we have seen the counter trading by anyone, that can be a whale or an institution money. So let's just look another example, this significant pump which actually break the long sideway price action. So let's just mark Very first thing, let's just mark the points on extreme negative. So remember guys, like what's our main goal during uptrend? To find the most of the retracement so that we can get most of the benefit if the asset rally. So whenever the asset is pumping, you are finding best buying position on retracement. So during pump, you have to look for the negative funding rate where you can add most of your long positions. Alright, so let's just mark this point. This was again like mediocre term, but yeah, you can say you have to mark. I mean, let's just see what happens. This was highly negative as you compare from the previous funding rate because the price was moving sideways, so there was not a lot of price action. So if you look at this point, let me mark the point. Yeah. So at this position, most of the traders were in short position because many thought this pattern will actually fall down, and this pattern was some sort of ascending triangle. But indeed, what we have s- what what we have seen is just a huge pump like this, and most of the traders were short here, and there was a huge significant pump. Like if you look for the gains, it's like 26%, and if you long that using 10 times leverage, that's 270% in just one shot. So this is how the funding rate works. Let's just look for more examples right here. See, we'll look much more examples. So at this point, we have extremely negative funding rate. At this point, again we have so much negative funding rate. We'll look this. Uh, let's just mark the points. We can see these are some of the extreme negative funding rates. So we'll just check out what happened and the price action. All right, let's just move on the chart. If you look at this point, the funding rate was like mediocre, not you can say extreme negative, but you can say some sort of medium term of negation. So if you look here, this point, this was the most of the traders were in short position. Indeed, it moves sideways, and it continue moves up. Like you just they try to liquidate or hit your stop loss by just counter trading. So at this point, they actually try to push down where most of the sellers were in short, may have entered the short position. But if you look, they can easily wreck you by pumping it at the 4%. So they are using, maybe they may be using this as a counter indication. So here we can see extreme negative funding rate, and indeed we move sideways, a little drop, but again we pump. So significant, there was again a significant pump right after the retracement, or you can say a dump, and that was so fast, and I think so most of the trader would have get liquidated. So we can look for the gain. Like again, it will be like 5%, 4%. Yeah. So let's look at another example right here. Wow. So if you look here, let me mark this one. All right. So if you zoom in the chart, look at this. It was highly negative. Most of the sellers were, and most of the traders were in short position. Indeed, it pump, and that gain was like 10%. So yeah, this indicators, I mean, this has small information which we are avoiding, and you know this small information can give you a huge return. If you look here at this point, like this point, yeah, this point we are seeing, see the trend was in upward. If asset is moving about to 200 moving average, it shows that the trend is upward. So when the funding rate was negative, like highly negative, most of the people were in short position. But indeed, you see the Bitcoin pumps, and again the short sellers were wrecked by pumping the asset to 140%. So let's just look at another example. Guys, you will get a lot of examples, and I would recommend you to practice this small strategies, because this small strategies actually works most of the time. I can't say 100% of the time, but 70% of the time this works, and it helps you to gain money. You can say easy money very quickly. So again, we look at the funding rate, it was highly negative. We have seen a pump, like if even if you have put a stop loss like around 2%, or you can say 3%, you may have gained some money. So yeah, you have, I can't say you can use this only indicator to go for the trade. You have to also use support and resistance along with this. So I will also bring that session for you guys. Today we will just focus on what's how the funding rate can be used as a counter indicator. So right now we will look some fresh exam, sorry, we can say some historical data, and we'll look uh, is it actually what to use this indicator as a counter indicator. So let's just look here. So this was a phase where we were actually downtrending. This example was for uptrending. So Bitcoin was moving sideways, and we trend, finally we just move upside. So during uptrend we have to look for the points where we can add a longs. The points, this was the side movement. This was whenever the asset is about 200 moving average, you have to consider it as an uptrend. And yeah, you have to just see that you are on 1 hour time frame, because this works better on the 1 hour time frame. And if you look here, the it was highly negative, but funding rate was highly negative, but it actually pumped. So you are just finding this such points where you can add your longs during uptrend. So during uptrend you are finding such retracement point where you can add longs. Now the same goes with the downtrend. During downtrend you add much more of short than longs. So this was a phase where we were actually down, we are moving much more downside than upside. So see this let's just check out this moment. So it's about 200 moving averages, about 200 moving average. So we are just finding this points where we can add longs. So look at this point, this was extremely negative. So yeah, here we have some really drop. So yeah, sometimes it fails, but I can't say 100% of the time it fails, because it was a significant pump, there was correction, and again we are trending upside. So let's look here. Yes, with this example, the funding rate was extremely negative at this point. And what we have seen, there was a significant pump. Like, let me check the gains. The gains were like 10%, 100% on 10x leverage. So let's just check out during downtrend. During downtrend, the most of the traders should be in long position. So this indicator, I mean this funding rate should be on the positive side. So we check out here this point. This is some sort of media. Let's just mark some points. I don't want to make this thing complicated. We just mark this point. Okay, this point. We'll mark this point. This was the position. This was extreme funding rates where most of the traders were in long position. So we have marked this point. Let's just check out what happens in the price action. All right, if you check this point, so it's below the 200, 200 moving averages. All right, and funding rate was positive. Most of the people had entered the long position, but you can see a significant dump, and it continued to dump. So whenever it's trending below 200 moving averages and you find the funding rate to be positive, it's a short opportunity for you guys. If you look here, it was again just below 200 moving averages. I Sorry for moving, it's exponential moving average. I'm using exponential moving averages because they gave you a lot more information, and it works pretty much fine in every time frame. So the funding rates was extremely high on the positive side. Most of the traders in long position, they actually dropped the price. Let's look here. This was the point. Actually, this was a point where we actually missed this short position. If you look at this candle, this candle, most of the people were in long position. This candle, but indeed the price drops. So yeah, this counter indicator works a lot of time, and if you club this with your own strategy, it will actually give you a lot of amount of money, because this small information which we avoid plays very essential role. And actually you should look for such a small information and avoid some complex trading, because that if your chart is highly complex, you won't make out what actually asset is doing. So this simple information actually works most of the time. So let's just look for more example in downtrend. And downtrend we are not having any. All right, so let's just look at this point. The funding rate was highly positive. I can't say highly positive, but yeah, near to highly positive. Price drop. Again we see here highly positive, price drops. So there are a lot of examples. You can see here. You can see this was highly positive. Most of the people in long position, it just tried to hit the stop loss, but at the end it actually drops. So let's just check out much more example for you guys. I would recommend you to actually practice this strategy, so you can also remember for long period, and it would actually help you guys. So here we can look that is below 200 moving averages, but that was not significant, so this won't work. Yeah, this point. So at this point we've seen that a lot of the people are entering longs, but actually the price tried to drop here, and finally it actually drops. After this, most of the long I mean most of the traders were in long, and they tried to counter trade them, and the price drops like 6%. Let's look at more example. If you find that more example, it's good for you and me. All right, so here we can see the positive funding rate. So here things sometimes changes. So this is that is always exceptional to trading strategy. But if you look that there was a positive spike on funding rate, and we actually move upside. So I can say most of 60 to 70% of the time this strategy works, and there are some exceptional to this strategy also. So I can't guarantee you that this strategy gonna work 100% of the time. So this was a phase where we were trending upside. So we will find So let's just revise this. The trend is upside, we are finding the points to buy, or you can say long. So if you long here, we gain here, see here. It's so beautiful example. When the price was trending or trying to move above, so if you look, this shows that there is strength in buying, because Bitcoin was making low uh, higher low thrice, and the funding rate was highly negative, and we seen this significant pump. So you can see that it gives you warning, early warning, before you go either long or short position. So let's look for more examples if we can find. See right here, we were downtrending. Most of the people in longs, price drops. The drop was also so huge profit. You can see, like, my god, to 250% if you are in 10 times leverage. Let's look more examples. Mm. See this again. I say a negative funding rate, down downtrend. So there is no any such case we have built right now. So this is a negative funding rate, and it's downtrend, and we can't say, like, basically this strategy is like, if you are trending upside, you're looking for the opportunity to counter trade whenever the funding rate is highly negative. And if you are uptrending, sorry, if you are downtrending, and that's below 200 moving averages, and if funding rate spike to the positive side, you have short opportunity. So let me write a text for you guys, because it will make you easy for you to understand. So if, all right, sorry for this. If asset is trending upside, or you can say uptrend, so we'll look for, so if you're trending upside, we'll look at best buying position. So this can be found by looking at funding rate. So we'll find negative funding rate to put a buy position. So if asset is trending upside, negative funding rate helps to find out our buy position. So let's just again revise for you guys, because it will help you to understand the strategy. So they'll find downtrend. Oh, my text is going behind. Standing upside, right? Standing upside. Let's just look at the present example. That asset is standing upside, right? Here we can see, so this three example where the funding rate was actually negative. The trend is, the asset is trending upside. We find the negative funding rates, we mark those points, and we will add a long position right there. So don't ever enter at a one spot price, try to ladder the position. So what laddering means, like, let's just take a price action, like from 6200 to 6800. So if I mention to ladder at this price range, it simply means you have to just distribute your buy limits in that range. uh, like this, you have to just spread your buy orders. If you spread your limit orders, there is more chance to get inside a uh, mark price. So I always recommend to enter using laddering strategy, because if you enter the spot price and things go wrong, you may end up losing much more money than you had ever wondered. So yeah, this if asset is trying your upside, find the negative funding rate to put your buy position. So asset is moving upside, yes, you can see it's moving about 200 moving average. Find the negative funding rates, mark those points and enter long position. So this was uh, for upside, and if we go for downside like this. mm, so if asset so if asset is moving downside, find the positive funding rate and ladder your shorts. So if asset is moving downside, we can see it's moving downside. Let's look at positive funding rate. You ladder most of your shorts and price moves down. Same goes here. It's moving downside, I mean it's below 200 EMA, positive funding rate, it just fall downside. So it's not necessary that you use 200 EMA for finding the trend. You can also use 100 moving average. I think so 100 moving average will give you early signal, but this works pretty fine. Like I just tried with 55 EMA, 100 EMA, 200 EMA, but 200 EMA actually works fine. This strategy, you have to club this strategy with breakout strategy, that works much more significant. And I guys recommend you to practice this strategy, and in next session I will try to club this strategy with another breakout strategy, with, or you can say, a support and resistance strategy, which actually gonna help you in making few bucks in few minutes. So this strategy is only for XBT, or you can say a Bitcoin, and because there is no funding rate for any other asset as such, and there is funding rate for Ethereum, but we know Ethereum follows Bitcoin, so there is nothing additive terms we have to mention for that. So you can practice with Ethereum, yeah, sure that. And if you find something crazy stuff, please PM me, and you can ask me question anytime. I will try to resolve most of your queries right on my Telegram personal chat. So till then guys, see you, take care, peace.